Hello and welcome to this video on skinning optimization in Unity. This is the model we're going to use. You can see that our little skeleton boy does not have any skin on him, but he consists of a number of different skinned mesh renderers. And what we are going to do is we're going to reduce the number of bones that the skinned mesh renderer uses. So a common misconception on bone reduction is that it removes bones from the skeleton, and we're going to showcase that is not the case. But what we're going to do, we're going to go to the Simplygon menu, click Add Load Component, Template, Advanced Reduction. Here we can specify the reduction settings for our geometry. We're going to leave this at standard, so just a 50% reduction. If we would do this for a real model, we would want to use either max deviation or on-screen size and appropriate settings, but this is not the focus of the video. Instead, we're going to expand bone settings and check in Use Bone Reducer. You can see here that we now have some new settings that are very similar to the ones up in reduction here. So we're gonna try the simplest one. We're just gonna use bone reduction target bone ratio, and we're gonna start the process. Okay, so we now have an optimized model. If we look at the wireframe, then well, we should see that it's a little bit less dense because it has been optimized 50%. We can also go into the actual skeleton of this model and see that all bones are still here in the hierarchy. However, if we start to animate this one, if we start to animate it and look closely on these hands, we can see that the optimized one does not bend the fingers similar to the original one. This is even more apparent if we overlay them on top of each other. So what has happened is that our bone reducer has figured out that we are going to unbind 50% of the bones, and the bones that has least visual impact are the ones in the fingers. We can try to do this another way where we have more control over which bones that we want to unbind and which bones that we want to keep. So what we are going to do is that we are going to unbind the entire lower arm and all bones underneath it. So we select this bone, click Add Component, and then we add a Simplygon selection set. We name this Remove Bones. We do the same thing for the other arm, and we name it the same. So both of these are named Remove Bones. Then we add a load component, template, advanced, reduction. We leave reduction settings as is. We check that we want to use bone reducer, but uncheck that we want to go to a specific bone ratio. Instead, we're gonna specify that remove bone selection set name is the selection set that we just created, so remove bones. Now we process. So if we look at the resulting skeleton, we can see that he now does not bend his elbow. In fact, everything beneath this elbow is rigged. So, what is the use case for our bone reducer? The use case is if you want to generate level of detail models that have a more simpler rig. Because skinning is done both on the GPU and the CPU, so especially for weaker platforms, if you ensure that the level of detail models that you have that are further away also have less bones that are influencing them, you will save a lot of performance. That was all for today. I hope that you have learned something new, and thank you for listening. If you want to know more about Simplygon, please follow our YouTube channel.